Today's episode of the GoldCast is sponsored by the Cleveland Cavaliers fans' tears and the idea that defense wouldn't matter in the next round of the NBA Finals. Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling in no way sad? Are you feeling a giant sense of elation for the success that the Warriors have experienced? And maybe you just need something to bring you down. Well, if you need something to bring you down and you can't find a way to get there because you're just so goddamn happy, then use Cleveland Cavaliers Tears. Available in Cleveland in bucketfuls. All you got to do is order them. ClevelandCavalierTears.com. Don't forget you can find the GoldCast on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all under the moniker The GoldCast. Twitter is the GoldCast _ because some jackoff decided to call themselves at the GoldCast years ago on Twitter. Never even put a post, deleted it, and now we can't get it. That's the truth. We're trying to get it, but hopefully we will one day. But I don't know. It may be quite some time until we're famous enough to convince Twitter with our famous GoldCast money to give us that GoldCast @ handle. But you can find us on all of those. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Follow us. We'll follow you back. Definitely check out. In particular, I always want to bring attention to our Instagram account and our Facebook account because those are both linked at the GoldCast. You can find latest and greatest updates. My brother Raymond Solis I, he does most of the updates on there. So definitely check that out. I think those are probably the places where we're the most active. And be sure to always leave comments in below on YouTube and Instagram or on Facebook and let us know what you think about all of our opinions because we're highly opinionated people. We're hardcore Bay Area fans, and that's why you love us, and that's why we love you. So check it out. All right, about to get started. This is going to be a first for the GoldCast. This is a solo mission by Rudy Solis III. I've actually never done this. I've never actually just sat and had a conversation with you guys directly. I always have either my brother Raymond Solis I or a flurry of diehard Bay Area guests on from all different walks of life. I've never actually just sat and given my thoughts directly, but the scheduling, we had some scheduling issues with our various hosts, and I finally said, screw it. I'm going to do a GoldCast by my damn self because I got a lot to say, and I don't want this week to go by without people hearing the GoldCast talk about everything that's gone down. Luckily, we've been a couple of days, so there's going to be some extra added information that was not available to us a couple of days ago, so I think this is going to be a good thing. Here we go, GoldCast. Let's get busy.
San Francisco, are you ready? This is the GoldCast.
Boom! Welcome to another edition of the GoldCast. We are the voice of the Bay. I'm your host, Rudy Solis III, and with me is Rudy Solis III. That is it. It is a solo mission. We had a lot of trouble scheduling everyone together. I was actually in San Francisco Monday. I was on Mission Street watching the party go down. I got to see the game, so I was coming up to San Francisco no matter what. This past weekend to do some wedding stuff because we're getting married in San Francisco, FYI, TMI. So I was there, and I wasn't planning on watching Game 5 because I assumed we were going to sweep on Friday. Actually, scratch that. Let me be honest with you. I actually assumed we were going to lose. So I woke up that morning, and I had that dreaded knot in my stomach, the same one I had the day that the Niners played the Ravens in the Super Bowl that I try never to ever mention. I've talked about that story. I'm going to talk about that to our new listeners when we get closer to football season, about the worst 72 hours of my life. That's a story for a future GoldCast. But in the meantime, I had that feeling in the pit of my stomach that we weren't going to win on Friday. It just didn't feel right. It's like I stood on the tip of the Golden Gate Bridge, and I licked my finger, and I put it out in the air. And I shook my head no. I said, no, the wind's blowing the wrong way. It's not feeling good, Tonto. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And it just didn't feel right. I felt like I didn't trust the refs. I really didn't. and some people kind of thought I was ridiculous. My father, the unofficial third member, Rudy Solis Jr. of the GoldCast, the unofficial third member, he said, "Oh God, you and your conspiracy theories." And I go, look. This isn't a conspiracy theory, okay? Here's the deal. The refs always favor whatever team is the home team in the NBA Finals. I watch the NBA Finals every single year. That they do this. Okay, when Cleveland played their first 2 games at Oracle, they couldn't catch a break. I remember just jumping for joy literally every time they moved, man. They were getting a call on them, especially in game 1. It just was out of control. So I didn't trust the refs to not do that again, especially in game 4. They don't want to sweep. They're already losing a ton of money. You know, their best bet, help in any way they can. And maybe the Cleveland pulls out and gets their confidence back, pulls out a win, and maybe the series goes to 6 or 7, and they can make some real money. I'm not saying that it's that laid out. I'm just saying that it's kind of one of those wink and a nod. Hey, be real hard on the Warriors, make them earn it tonight because if we can't just let them steamroll it, make them earn it tonight. It's one of those kind of situations. It's not this giant conspiracy, but it is definitely a much more aggressive approach to the refereeing of the away team, and that's how it always is in the NBA Finals. I would even venture to say it's often like that when it's in the playoffs as well. It's not necessarily that it's a conspiracy to stretch the game out, stretch the series out to 7 games. They're just tougher on the away team. That's just a fact. So then I remember I get to work, and right when I walk into work, my buddy Marco, who's a hardcore NBA guy, he looks right at me and he goes, "Oh, Warriors, they're not going to win today. LeBron, he's not going to allow for series to end in sweep." He's got this Eastern European accent that I'm doing slightly. It's just like there's an embellishment to it, but that's basically what he sounds like. And he goes, "Oh, there's not, they're not going to allow sweep. The LeBron and Kyrie, they'll play good tonight. They win tonight, but you guys win on Monday." And right when I heard that, for me, it was like the universe confirming me through the voice of this tall Eastern European man going, damn it. I think he's right. I don't think we're going to win tonight. I think we're going to lose. And then those 20 free throws in the first quarter. I mean, have you guys seen a more ridiculous situation than those 20 free throws? That was out of control. I was so annoyed. I was so angry. Is there a stronger affirmation to Dub Nation, to the GoldCast Nation, that the refs weren't against us? 20 free throws, then the almost ejection of Draymond in the middle. It just became a shit show really fast, super fast, and I was really frustrated. And now the Warriors, they didn't play with the death grip that they needed to get that game done. I still think that game was way within reach, but they just collapsed. They collapsed under the pressure. They collapsed. They looked tired. And let's talk about a couple things in their defense. It's really effing hard to go undefeated for 3 months straight in this sport. Okay, they hadn't lost since like March. That's really hard. Their streak was insane. I don't even know the numbers. Someone say the numbers online. If you're on Facebook, go to facebook.com/thegoldcast or at Instagram. Tell me what the number was before they lost, because I don't remember it. I'm sure they showed it 20 times on ESPN, but it's hard to go that long and be undefeated. It really, really hard. And you saw it slipping a little bit in Game 3. They eked it out. Cavs just got burnt out, and then they finally figured it out, and they put it together in Game 4. But let's go to why we're all here. We're all here to talk about Game 5, right? This is what we're here for. Let's talk about Game 5, because I think Game 5 was incredible. It had all the drama that we wanted. It started out with kind of a wonky start for the Warriors, and then the Cavs really kind of showing some dominance early and definitely making me nervous. But then the second quarter happened, and the Warriors just do what they do, and they just got into that offensive nuclear flurry. And when they do that, I mean, you cannot stop them. I was actually listening to the NBA, another NBA pod, the one on the Ringer, And I'm not afraid to mention other pods on here. We all love podcasts. And it's a good podcast. It's a good NBA podcast. And they talk a lot about the Warriors, obviously, because the Warriors are the main focus, even though those guys aren't necessarily Warriors fans. But they said something good. When they mentioned how when Tyronn Lue, when his team, when they start going against an offensive flurry like that, you've got to stop the bleeding somehow. You've got to stop it somehow. You got to call timeout. You got to do something, man. You got to make some lineup changes. You just cannot let the Warriors go on a tirade like that, because if they go on a tirade like that, they're going to make you pay, and you are not going to be able to climb out of that hole, especially on the road, elimination game. No, it's not going to happen. And that's exactly what happened. And Ty Lue, he's still learning. He's still a young coach. He's only been coaching for 3 years. I get it. But it really worked to our benefit that he didn't do that. That actually worked in our favor that he didn't stop them, because without that flurry, it's a much closer game. It's a much tighter game, especially when we get to the third quarter. The third quarter comes and you see the Cavs starting to come back. And what was really making the difference, in my opinion, what I saw that I thought was really making the difference, it's funny how these little things in basketball, these little minute details, because you only got 5 guys on each team out on the court at one time, these little minute details can really make a change. And the thing that I thought was truly making the difference was the defensive rebounding of the Cavs. I mean, they started catching every single ball that was coming off that hoop. Every single brick, everything that was bouncing and not going in for the Warriors, you had nothing but a sea of Cavs underneath that hoop. And that's what really allowed them to get back into the game. And I think that's kind of fascinating. You get to this point where you watch a point where, for instance, something as simple as offensive rebounding. And if the Warriors get their offensive rebounds, they get their second and third chances, and literally they blow out the Cavs by like 15, 20 points if they do that. But if they don't do that, if they don't do something as simple as that, the Cavs offense is so good that they're able to immediately fire back. They're immediately able to answer back, and boom, they're within 5. And I remember that's when I started really sweating, and I thought, oh man, please. Because here's how I felt about it. I want to know what you guys feel. Tell me what you guys feel. But if the Warriors don't win Game 5, I think this thing goes to 7. And then all bets are off. I honestly, if I think it goes to Game 7, I don't trust the Warriors to win Game 7 because of last year. I think it gets too much in the heads. I trust KD to be KD all the way through, but I don't trust the rest of the Warriors' psyche to handle that kind of a meltdown. And when we got within 5, when the Cavs got within 5, I thought, oh my God, no, we can't let this happen. We cannot let this happen. We have to get refocused. And once they started, once again, coming down, getting those offensive rebounds, second and third chances, you saw that gap spreading, once again, spreading all the way through. And that's when I started to relax. I really started to relax around the 5-minute mark. Even though there was a lot of basketball left, it was around that 5-minute mark in the fourth quarter where I started to go, okay. And if you watch the Warriors, especially towards that middle of the fourth, they just started kind of marching the ball down. And there was a couple fast breaks. There was a couple, quick plays to the rim. But you just started watching the Warriors slow it down. And then I'll never forget they said over the mic, they said, LeBron James is the only player that has made a shot for the Cavs in the last 5 minutes. And I thought, that's actually the best thing for us. Because the one guy I didn't want to see have that ball was J.R. fucking Smith. Because that son of a bitch was literally hitting everything. Do you guys remember that shot where he's just like off of 1 foot, he's at the top of the key, he shoots it in for the 3, and then he like slams into the floor? And I mean, I thought there's no way that's going in. There's no way. Oh, wow. That went in. Okay, that went in. That actually went all the way in. That's in now. J.R. Smith was the one person I didn't want to see get the ball at any point in the game. And so when I saw that LeBron was the only guy had made a point in the last 5 minutes, I was super happy. I was like, that's what we want. Go ahead, LeBron. Play hero ball all day. We'll trade you 2s. That's no problem. But those J.R. Smith 3s were killing us in the second half. They were killing us. They kept allowing the Cavs to get back in the game. And that's what pisses me off about J.R. Smith. You're going to get 2 months of him rolling around in a go-kart on roller skates eating ice cream, looking up at the sky while the game's happening. And then he gets in these moments, and all of a sudden he decides to be J.R. Smith, and he looks like the Warriors. His 3-point game is unstoppable, and the guy just becomes this monster. And you're just never sure when it's going to happen. And we almost made it through an entire final series without it happening, but then it did, and it happened in Game 5. Of course, we had to go through 4 games of J.R. Smith being J.R. Smith before he finally just came alive. Well, he came alive in Game 4 too, but really, really showed his mettle on the road. Elimination game, Oracle, Monday night against the Warriors. That's when he really showed his mettle. And that was the one guy I just didn't want to see become a huge factor in the fourth, because he had been such a huge factor all the way leading up to that. Kevin Love was, whatever. I want to talk about an aside, actually. There's one aside I want to mention. Do you guys remember the play where Klay Thompson goes up for the dunk, and he gets undercut? Oh, no, he's going up for the block. And he gets undercut, and he falls, and Draymond catches him. That play, to me, encapsulates the Warriors and how they feel about each other and how they play for each other in a heartbeat. Klay is going all the way. I can't even. Is it a man? It's all. There's just so much happened. It's like all a blur. I'm pretty sure he was going for a block. I don't believe he was going for a dunk, but he. Tell me in the comments. He goes up. He gets undercut. He starts flying face first to the ground, and Draymond catches him. That was so badass. That actually might have been my favorite play of the entire game. Might have been over everything else I saw, and I saw so many amazing plays. That actually wasn't even a basketball play. That was a teammate play. That was I literally got your back. I'm going to fucking catch you because you're my boy. You are my boy. And then I'm going to say this. You want to know who I saw come to help him that really made me respect him? Really made me respect him because his playing is so good. This guy is almost unstoppable when he goes into the paint. And it drives me nuts. Is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving ran up. I don't know if you saw it. If you didn't see it, check out it. I saw it on the replay. I didn't catch it the first time. I was blown away. The whole crowd, we were over by Dolores Park, and we were just going nuts. We was like, oh my God, Draymond, did you see that? He just caught him. But then on the replay, Kyrie runs up just seconds behind Draymond, and he grabs his arm, and he helps Klay get up. I have to admit, Dub Nation, that was pretty clutch of him. That he didn't have to do that. He could have been like, fuck him. I don't care. I might have done that. I'd have been like, I don't care. Let him fall. Whatever. I don't give a shit. He ain't my teammate. But instead, he ran up and he helped Draymond lift Klay back up. He grabbed him and helped him back up. If you haven't seen it, look at the replay again. I actually thought that was super cool. And he really earned a lot of my respect right there. That was clutch. That's all I have to say. That was super clutch, and I want to give a lot of props out right now to Kyrie on that one. That was super dope, and I didn't expect that. I was very surprised. And yeah, just props to Kyrie. Hey, props to you on that play. You know what? I really want to hate your guts sometimes, but when I saw you do that play, I have to admit I kind of like Kyrie. I kind of like him. I do. I'm not a Cavs fan. You guys all know my utter and complete disdain for the Cavs. I cannot stand this team. I mean, this heat is real. It is legit. This is like Giants, Dodgers, Niners, Seahawks. And what's kind of badass is that this team isn't even in our division. Well, divisions don't really matter in the NBA. This team is across the pond on the other side of the country, and we only see them in the championship when it matters. And that's what's badass about the whole thing. That's what I like. So, but that was pretty dope. I thought that was awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the post game. So, we have the post game. And LeBron says something to me that I thought was really interesting. First of all, Kevin Durant talking about he hasn't had a beer since February, and he's just so happy to sit and be talking with those guys. That was amazing. He did deserve the MVP without question. He was unfallible. He was just unstoppable on both sides of the ball. He was slowing LeBron down. LeBron was not able to slow him down. He was just unstoppable. But there was a part of me that kind of wanted to see Steph get it because Steph just really finally truly turned it on in the finals. He was hurt last year. The year before that, it was the first time there, and I think there was a lot of just first finals jitters, and now they're just so used to this at this point. I thought Steph was incredible. I was like a proud dad. I was like a proud dad watching Steph finally just come into his own. I think Kevin Durant has also really allowed him to relax and settle into himself. But Kevin Durant was just incredible. Kevin really put Steph in a position where he didn't have to worry. His defense was incredible. I feel like we're watching KD ascend into a level that we all knew was there, that I think OKC and the whole Russell Westbrook, who's going to get the last shot storyline situation that had been occurring there for the last several years, had kind of always been stifling. And you saw a little bit of it, of what he could be when the way they were coached last year in the series against the Warriors. Like if you see that series and you see KD playing defense at a level he hadn't played before, but you really saw the coaching playing a major part in that team, and they were passing the ball. They were trying to get away from this hero ball culture that had really plagued OKC in the last couple of years and plagued them even this past year as well. And so you got to see what he was like in a system that was, in some ways a model, a piece of how the Warriors play. And now that he's been allowed to be in that system for the entire season, you really saw KD ascend into a different level. And I thought that was awesome to see. I thought it was extremely impressive. But let's get back to LeBron and his post-game press conference. They ask him about super teams, and he says, I've never been a part of a super team. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you know what that was? That was him trolling. Draymond trolled. I love how when Draymond trolled, he said, if losing last year's NBA Finals meant we got Kevin Durant and got to win going, 15-1 or 16-1 in this year's finals, I'll take it. And that was just a great troll. That was just another dig, right? That's just that nice dig. But then you've got this situation with LeBron and him saying, well, I've never been a part of a super team. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? They even addressed this on the NBA podcast. They were talking about how they're like, you had Skrillex DJing. It wasn't fireworks. There was planes going overhead. It wasn't even a game. They were just introducing you three. It was a super team. Here's the thing, and we've talked about this before. Every decade of the NBA has been ruled by a super team, but I look at it like war. Okay, so if you look at the weapons we were using in World War II to the weapons we're using now, it's a whole different game. Every war gets scarier and crazier, bigger and nastier weapons, right? It's the same exact thing with the NBA. Every super team is bigger and nastier than the last. You know what's going to happen, guys? I'll tell you what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen in like 5 years, right? 4 to 6 years, somewhere in there. Here's what's going to happen. What's going to happen is there's going to be a new super team that's bigger and nastier than the aging Golden State Warriors. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to come in and they're going to sever the head of the Golden State Warriors, and they're going to lift up the Larry O'Brien trophy above our bleeding carcass, and they will be the super team for the next decade. And they're going to go for 4 or 5 years, and then some super team's even nastier than that's going to come along and sever their head. And this is just going to go forever and ever, and that's the way it's always been. It's how it always will be. Bill Russell's Celtics teams of the 60s, 70s, Lakers Celtics of the 80s, Michael Jordan's three-peat twice in a row, beginning of the 90s, end of the 90s. Then you've got Spurs, you got the Lakers super team of the 2000s. This is just the nastiest version. It's like, we've had tanks, we've had mortars, we've had grenades, we've had atomic bombs, and now we have a nuclear bomb. And then later on, there's going to be a double nuclear bomb, whatever that's going to be. But this is a nuclear bomb. And before, the most we'd ever seen was an atomic bomb. The Heat, they were an atomic bomb. The Miami Heat was an atomic bomb, and then KD joins the Warriors, and now they're a nuclear bomb. That's all it was. That's the only real difference. But he says this, so going back to the subject, LeBron says, I've never been on a super team. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then you put together, you add Kevin Love into the mix with you and Kyrie. You put together two atomic bomb super teams. That's the whole point. That was the whole point of what you did. You started this blueprint. As far as free agents creating their own super teams, he really kind of created the blueprint that KD followed it later on, 6 years later. I just thought that was whack. I'm like, come on, dude. Don't pretend. We all know. Don't pretend. You were in a super team too. Don't act like you're bigger, better, or somehow more special or less special or, woe is me. I was just like, come on, dude. That was weak. Don't pretend like you weren't. That's exactly why you joined him. Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. I mean, he was right. It was two different teams, and he was the only one that did it. So let's talk about a couple other things before I get out of here. Next year's landscape. I don't really see a scenario where these two teams don't meet for a fourth. I have to admit, I kind of don't really want to see them go for a fourth. I would love to see the Warriors there so they can get back-to-back 2 in a row. I don't want to see the Cavs there again. God, LeBron's been there 7 years in a row. We've been there 3. I get it. If you're, I get it. I can get anyone not Golden State fans going, you've been there 3. I don't want to see you there either. But a LeBron team has been there 7 years in a row. Can somebody please break through and give us a different Eastern Conference team to face? But at the same time, do you guys see anybody that can challenge in the East? The Cavs still? They only lost one game the entire their entire playoff run. Do you guys see another team? John Wall and the Wizards, maybe? Who's going to help him? The Celtics, outside of Isaiah Thomas, who's going to help him? They have the first pick. Celtics have the first pick in the draft. That could prove to be interesting and help. If they could get the first pick in the draft and then trade for some superstar in Boston, I could see Boston possibly making a run. The tough part is, what do you do about Isaiah on defense? That's the hard part. That's a hard question that they have to answer. I don't think you get rid of him. I think he's too much of a spark plug. This isn't a get rid of Isaiah Thomas conversation. I think he's great. I think he's great for that team. I don't even like that team, but I think he's great for that team. I like Isaiah Thomas, but I don't like Boston Celtics. Come on, give me a break. But yeah, I just don't see a scenario where these two teams don't meet for a fourth time. My gut tells me they won't, that they just can't. Like, that just doesn't make sense. 4 times in a row? Who wants to see that? I just feel like numerically, numbers wise, that can't happen. It's just too hard to happen in the NBA. These teams do seem so lopsided right now as of, Wednesday, June 14, 2017. But we'll see what happens after the draft. We'll see what happens after free agency. But hopefully not. I mean, you never know. Maybe the Warriors fall into like a championship hangover. I don't know, man. They seem pretty poised, and Kevin Durant has added a new spark plug, and this is his first championship. This is his first time there. It's not, it's the other guy's his third time. It's his first. So maybe just having him there alone rejuvenates and resparks him and says, let's do this. Let's dominate. I mean, you got to run while you can in the NBA. When you got a team like this, you just got to grab as many rings as you can, because once it's over, it is over. And, who knows if there's coming back? Who knows if the Spurs come back? Spurs, look what an amazing run they had. A almost 20-year run that they've had. It's 18 years of excellent basketball, winning championships in 3 different decades. Just incredible. Can the Warriors have something like that? Possibly. But, in the meantime, might as well just try and build a dynasty while they've got the opportunity. So I don't really see anyone challenging either team in the landscape, but at the same time, I just don't see how they both go. Again, speaking of next year, do you guys think LeBron's gonna leave? I've always thought he was gonna leave. I thought the second he won that championship, he'd be out. That he would find a way to get out. Obviously, he's got 1 more year in his contract, and then he's a free agent at the end of next season. I don't think he stays. I really don't. He's LeBron, the GM, has placed the Cavs in a position where their cap money is, they can barely do anything. I still believe that for sure Kevin Love will probably get traded. I know some guys at my party were going, really? But LeBron loves him. It's not about love. It's about money. And they need to get something off the books. And Love is the biggest liability financially for them. And while he had a great year, he had a pretty great postseason run. His finals play was, a little lacking, was definitely lackluster. He didn't have the same level of dominance that he had during the playoff run, and I just don't think there's enough there. I think money-wise, you're probably better off to get rid of him and try and go younger. Stephen A. Smith on Final Take said Carmelo Anthony. I almost laughed. Hey, go for it. Take Carmelo Anthony. This team has no defense, and you're going to add Carmelo Anthony, a man who doesn't even know what the word defense means in basketball? Oh, okay. Go for it. Yeah. Awesome. I actually would love that. Warriors fans, Dub Nation, we want the Cavs to trade for Carmelo Anthony. I think that's a great idea. Go for it. He plays no defense. It will be even worse. I think their defensive woes are already gigantic. It'll only be worse. Last note on my dear friend Cavalier Chris, who we've talked about on a couple podcasts. I have not seen him since the start of the NBA Finals. The day of, I told you guys a couple weeks back on the last podcast, he told me he believed that the Cavs were going to win Game 1 and they would win the whole series in 6. I asked him, just point blank, but you guys have no defense. What are you guys going to do when the Warriors start clamping down their defense and you have nothing to answer back for their defense? And he said, quote unquote, I don't think defense is going to be that big of a deal in the next round. Cavalier Chris, have you ever watched a professional sporting event in your life? A championship sporting event in your life? Is this your first rodeo? Tell me. It's okay. You can be honest. It's all right. I still love you. But come on. When has defense not played a major factor in any championship round of baseball, basketball, or football? Now, basketball's a little bit different. I get that. But when you have the third-ranked defense and the third-ranked offense against the number 1 offense and the 27th-ranked defense, I think it's going to matter. And it did. It did. It did in 5 games. And had we not had such a horrendous Game 4, I mean, they would have been smoked. They should have lost that game too, but they got a lot of breaks their way, and it got kind of ridiculous. And, of course, they just went into overdrive. Props to them, but still, give me a break. Defense always counts in championships, especially when you got a situation like this. 1st and 27th versus 3rd and 3rd. Give me a break, man. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, son. Sorry. No way. And I think that is about it. Oh, yeah. Last thing. Jerry West to the Clippers. Now, listen, Dub Nation, GoldCast Nation, don't be sad. It's cool. Jerry West was here for one thing and one thing only, to bring this team up to the level of dominance that it's at now. He made it. He made it work. He was the final guy to talk to Jerry West. To talk to Kevin Durant. He talked to Kevin Durant and said, "Hey, only winning that one championship, it haunted me forever. Don't be me. Don't make that decision." I think it sent a chill down his spine, and bam, we get Kevin Durant. That was his final parting gift. Here you go. I'm really happy with the front office that we have. I think we're going to be great. I think we're going to be fine. I think he's done his job here. He's going to the Clippers. If you're hearing this, maybe this is the first time that you're hearing it today, but Jerry West is officially going to the Clippers. I can't stand the Clippers, so good for them. Yeah, best of luck over there. Yeah, have fun. He's great. He's great. He's incredible. He can work magic with anybody. So I don't think it's a bad decision. Jerry West, he loves the challenge, the thrill of the hunt. Once the team is at the level where it's at, he kind of loses interest, and that's cool, man. I like that. Like, go work your magic. Go see what you can do over there. We'll be waiting, and we'll be here to smoke them. That's pretty much it. So I think it's fine. I think we if you're sore about it, don't be sore about it. We're good. Our front office is fine. This was the point. The point was to teach us how to fish, then put us in the boat and send us off. And now he's going to the next village to teach the next guy how to fish. And that's it. It's better for the league. It's better competition for us. Let's do it. We want the biggest and the best, right? I don't want to hear on first take again about how this guy was injured and this guy was hurt and that guy was down and this team was down, and I don't want to hear that. Great thing is though, we played the Cavs on 100. The parade is Thursday. So if you're listening to us, it's probably today. If you're hearing this tomorrow on Thursday, that's not confusing, right? If you're hearing this today, then the parade is tomorrow. So if you're going to go, awesome. I hope you have a great time. I'm all the way back in Los Angeles. I'm home. But it was wonderful to see Game 5 with you guys. The last time I was in San Francisco to watch a championship game. Well, no, I was also there for... No, I wasn't, actually. I saw the World Series from home, Game 7. I saw that from home here in LA. But I was home for the loss of the Super Bowl. And then when we swept the Tigers, those are the last 2 times I was home. So it was nice because I hadn't seen the Warriors win in San Francisco. I hadn't seen them at home win. So that was really cool. That was really cool to be there with you guys and to be around Dub Nation. I hope you guys had a safe excursion on Monday. I hope you guys have a great time at the parade. I'm with you guys there in spirit. You can follow me at Rudy Solis III, Rudy Solis 3RD. Check me out on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me. I had a huge conversation with a bunch of people on Twitter about the Warriors, and I'd love to hear from you guys. Greatest era of Bay Area sports ever. Greatest era of San Francisco sports ever. All we need is the Niners now to get a chip. Let's hope to get a chip. GoldCast Nation, here we go. Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Same GoldCast time, same GoldCast channel.
This is the GoldCast.